Good morning, Wealth Warriors. I have to tell you, I am so glad and so enthusiastic and so excited to be with you this morning because it was touch and go. This is my favorite time of year. You know why? Most people would say, oh, well, it's Christmas. That has nothing to do with Christmas. It has to do with what we're about to discuss this morning. It has nothing to do with Christmas. It has to do with what we're about to discuss this morning. Okay, we have a tad bit of an issue. I'm going to resolve it right now. What we're about to discuss this morning. Okay, we have a tad bit of an issue. I'm going to resolve it right now. What we're about to discuss this morning. Okay. Let's see, I think we fixed that problem. Okay, now I get to say this. Sometimes we have technical difficulties, but the information that I'm going to share this morning by no means is a technical difficulty. In fact, we've got to be precision driven when we discuss this. Now, before I get underway with why or what you want to know in December, or why you want to know certain things in December, and why it's the best month for negotiating, let me introduce, of course, my co-host, none other than Pamela Stone from P&S Consulting. Let her welcome you into December in finally a broadcast. Go right ahead, Pamela.
Good morning, Wealth Warriors. Wow, I think it seems like it's been a long time since I've been on here. I remember the last time I've been on here was, I believe, the week before the conference. So it's been a long time, but I'm back. I'm glad to see everyone. Welcome everybody, even our newcomers. I always say this, and I'm gonna keep saying this. Anyone new on our broadcast, everyone's always asking, how can I join Wealth Warriors? It's so simple. All you have to do is go to Facebook, Wealth Warriors, and then put in a comment, I want to join. That's it. And then you get a message and you come welcoming into our group. So sit back, get your paper and pen, because we will have tons of nuggets that will be dropped during this session. And thank you again. I feel like this is all new to me, but anyways, everyone have a great one.
Oh my goodness, yes. Want to know why December is the best month for negotiating? I am going to share in a sentence, because every salesperson that wants to close out their numbers, every company that wants to close out their numbers at the highest level, the greatest amount of sales, is willing to negotiate this month, December 31st, and it is done. So I'm not saying that you have them. What I am saying is, if you have any collection agencies that are hounding you, if you have any creditors that are hounding you, if you want to negotiate a reduction in your credit card interest rate, if you want to refinance your home, if you want to refinance your vehicle, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. And the beauty is, it's the 10th. So hopefully you still got money left that you haven't used to buy presents. Give yourself the greatest present on the planet. Hold the cash. What do you think about that one, Pamela?
I'm ready. I'm typing it in here to tell everyone, hold the cash and use the cash.
Because cash is king for sure. So what does this mean? Okay, you've got collection notices. And again, I'm not making any judgment calls. I'm not saying that you have them. I'm just merely saying, if you know somebody, possibly you, that has collection agent letters and you want to settle out, perfect time. You're going to call that collection agent and you're going to say, let's say it's $1,000. And you're going to offer 40 cents on the dollar. Now, understand this, that most collection agents are purchasing a package full, if you will, of collection notices. So they're purchasing those. And so they can purchase those for as low, depending on the quality, for as low as 20 cents on the dollar. So when you offer them 40 cents on the dollar, they still have a profit that they've made as a result of it. So let me go back one more time and say it more clearly. Collection agents purchase bad paper. Bad paper is when somebody hasn't paid on time and they've gone through, the creditor's gone through a process and they finally said, let it go. I'm going to consider it a loss. I'm writing it off as a loss, which shows up on your credit report as a profit, as a loss, or there's a specific term that it shows up on your credit report, and it indicates to every creditor, hey, this person doesn't pay. This is not a person that you want to do business with. So what you want to do is reposition that. And you reposition that through that collection agent. So you're going to offer that collection agent 40 cents on the dollar. So in this instance, Pamela's going to be the collection agent. So I'm calling the collection agent. Ring, ring. Pamela.
Hello?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Brent Harding, and I've received a collection letter from you, and I would like to talk about that.
Okay.
I see that I owe $1,000, and you offered to lower that to $700. I have a lot of creditors that I need to resolve issues with. I don't want to go into the new year on a bad note, and I'd like to resolve this with you. I'd like to offer you $400 to close out this transaction. Will you take that?
Absolutely.
A lot of times what you heard is exactly what they'll do. They may come back and they may counter. So if they come back and they counter, then I want you to wait another day, maybe 2 days, and call them back. And again, now, by the way, this is the good stuff. I really want you to take notes on it because I'm not keeping this particular broadcast up very long, okay? So you want to give them a couple of days to think about the fact that they could be getting $400 instead of the $550 that they offered you. Sometimes they really want to get that money in, raise those numbers. And so you call them back in a couple of days and they're now down to $475. You make a decision. You say, do I have enough time to give them one more day to think about it, or will I negotiate, or will I take the deal and run with it? Now, here's the important part. They've negotiated a deal. You've accepted it at $450. Now you get to say part two. Part two is that I want a letter from you, and a letter to go to the credit bureaus that says that I paid this satisfactorily. Not that I settled, not that I negotiated. You wanted to just read paid satisfactory. Now I stop for a moment because I want you to grasp the concept, and it's a 3-part service. So what you're going to get them to do is to send you a letter. That letter is going to expire in 72 hours. So in other words, if they don't receive their money in 72 hours, that letter expires. They don't fulfill what they said they were going to do. It is important that you have a letter that they email, they fax you over a letter that says that this account is paid satisfactory. Upon receipt of X amount of dollars, I will report to the credit bureaus this account is paid satisfactory. And if I do not receive the funds on this date, the deal is off. That's why you want to keep that cash, because you want to position yourself to pay these creditors off, to go into the new year on a positive and clean note. Does that make sense? I hope that it makes sense, because that is critical. Pamela, what do you think?
That is great. I actually have a question for you. One question is, at the beginning, when they had reported that account as being, is it closed or written off or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
When they report it as it being written off, and then you go back and you have paid it off, will that write-off of that account fall off, or what happens after that?
Good question. That is critical. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better question. That's why it's so important, the process of negotiating, because even if it is written off, even if it's on your credit report, it's being reported as a profit and loss, the creditor and the collection agent have the ability to change that. They don't like it, they don't want to do it, but they in fact are able to remove everything and just list the account as paid satisfactory. Did that answer your question maybe?
It did. It did. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Now, again, they're not going to like to do this. They're going to feel and they're going to push back and they're going to say, no, they can't do it. Yes, they can. And hold out until they do, or put your money elsewhere. What you are doing is you are doing the negotiation and the work yourself. Now, some will say, well, hey, Brent, you know what? I don't want to do this work. I want somebody else to do that. We can talk offline about that. You will want to IM me, and I'm going to give an announcement at the end of the show about a service that Wealth Warriors is putting into place for our community to help resolve things like this. Okay, so that one is a very important element. So I probably need to roll back and say, get a copy of your credit report. I was so intent on getting to the marrow of everything that I should have said. Start off by getting a copy of your credit report so that you can see what is less than positive. In other words, what's negative on the report. Okay, now fast forward. You're negotiating with those creditors. Again, this applies in November, but more so in December. In December, they are much more amenable. They want to get that last deal closed. They want to up their numbers. And so as a result of that, they are going to be amenable to getting the cash. Now, some would say, well, Brent, should I go to a creditor directly to do this? If you've received a collection notice, then I'm going to submit to you no, because they're going to be really hard about what they're doing. But if you've gotten the collection notice, then go deal with the collection agent and make sure that collection agent lists that they are working in behalf of, because that's going to be important. They're working in behalf of, and that you can trace that back to the original creditor that you were doing business with. Okay, so now let's suppose that you haven't gotten that letter from a credit agent, but you are 90 days into that, and they're about to close that account off. Do everything you can to save your accounts. Because remember this, negative information stays on the credit report for 7 years. Oh, Aunt Pamela, you're shaking your head. Talk to us. What are you saying?
Oh, funny enough, actually, I hear a lot of people saying, oh, it doesn't stay on that long. And then when they go apply for a car, a house, guess what? That account is still sitting on there. And they're like, I thought it dropped off. And they're like, no, it stays on there for 7 years. So everyone, do not be blindsided by thinking that it drops off within a year or two. That is not correct at all.
You know, Pamela, you bring up a very important point, and that is the clock can be reset. The 7 years can be reset. When you take an action, for example, what we're talking about right now, when you take an action, there is a possibility. It's not to say it will happen. There is a possibility that you can reset the clock and reset the start date of that account. That's why you want to have the cash, and you want to be ready, willing, and able to negotiate with that cash. That's going to be important, because a creditor can get a report from a collection agent that restarts your 7 years. So information could literally be on your credit report for up to 14 years. And most people are just staggered by that piece of information. It's a fact. You want to know what the law is about credit, then contact the Federal Trade Commission and get a copy of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Read that information over, comb that information over as if it were I was going to say something, but that would be inappropriate. So read that information over, because nothing that I was going to say would match with that. So with that being said, important that you be cognizant of what the law says. Remember, as we're looking at the 12 steps of what we need in order to be phenomenally successful in our wealth building, credit is pivotal, because credit begets credit. You will never have as much money as you have when you have credit. Credit begets credit. Credit opens up a door. Credit gives you access. And that's what we want. You want to use somebody else's money, not your own money, not your own funds. And so you need that credit worthiness to make that happen. The nugget that you got right now is so powerful. I can't begin to express how powerful that nugget is. In fact, hashtag, we need some hashtags going out. First hashtag is hashtag credit is, no, let me rephrase that hashtag. Now, let's have somebody put in, Robin, please put into a, Robin is such a sweetheart. I love her to death. She knows exactly who I'm talking about. Robin, please put in the feed, you will never have as much money as you will have credit. You will never have as much money as you will have credit. Somebody else put into the feed, hashtag credit is access. Hashtag credit is access, because it is a fact. So this time of year, I look forward to this time of year every single year like I'm living and breathing, because it is so important that everything be done precisely. That's the big one. So first, we got the copy of the credit report. We read over that credit report. We checked the inquiries on that credit report. We listed everything on a sheet of paper. Get out the infamous legal sheet. List everything on there that is not right, that is not correct. From your inquiries to your name to your addresses, all of that information. Some of that information is soft information. What I mean by soft information is that you can come back and clean that up later. You want to get it done during the month of December. However, your priorities for the month of December are to negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. Anything that requires money that you can negotiate at 40 cents on the dollar. If you're really fortunate, you might get 30. Most are going to want to negotiate with you at 70. Work it down, work it down, work it down, work it down. You get between 40 and 50, or between 40 and 45, pretty good. Now, everything is up until Christmas. Okay, so up until the 23rd of this month. So right now, you've got roughly a good 13 days to negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. Now, the week after Christmas, the week after is a slow week. Now, you could try to close out some more deals after that. Here's the problem. Getting the approvals from whoever the hierarchy is regarding that negotiation might be tough, contingent upon the amount of money. Anything that's less than $1,000 or less, you, up until the 23rd, slice it, dice it, negotiate it. When, during this period, if the money is more than 1,000, if it's anywhere between 1,001 to about 3,000, might end up needing secondary. The person's going to put you on hold, come back at you. If it's 5,000 or better, that's going to be one heck of a negotiation. If you are capable and able to do it, do it. Okay, let's talk about vehicles. Now, the 25th to the 30th of the month, or the 25th to the 31st of the month, oh, happy day. Oh my goodness, that salesperson, you almost want to ask them, you are tempted, I'm tempted to say, how many sales have you had this month? What is your quota? Because I'm going to make your day. That's kind of the attitude you want to have. Not haughty, but you got the cash and you want to make the deal. So when it comes to whether it's paying off those outstandings, whether it is paying off, whether it is purchasing a vehicle, you want to be a friend. You want to make their day. You want to help them meet their quotas. And so that from the 26th to the 30th, oh my goodness, they want to pump off those deals. They want to get that stuff closed. And they are ready, willing, and able to negotiate. And that's what you want to be able to do. Go in armed, but not haughty. So what does armed mean? Armed means I got the information. I know what it is that I want to accomplish, or I know what the facts are. Respect them, give them their courtesy, their grace, and their respect. However, you know what your bottom line is. And negotiate to the bottom line and have fun doing that. That is your vehicle. So if that's what you want, then that's what you ought to get. There is a book that I'm going to encourage you, everybody, to purchase. It is an old book now. It's probably at least 10 years old. And it's called The Millionaire Next Door. How many of you have read it? Oh my goodness. I was in a book group and I remember that book. And it was a breakfast group rather. And I gave them that book. And I said, let's start a book reading. And that was the first book. And I believe it's in the first chapter or the second chapter. It talks about the fact that millionaires do not drive new cars. They drive brand names. And what do I mean by the brand names? They drive the Volvo, or they drive the Mercedes, or they drive the this or the that, whatever that brand name is. However, they will drive a model that is at a minimum 2 years old, anywhere from 2 to 10 years old, but it looks good and it has great mileage. So they will purchase a vehicle from an estate sale. They will purchase that vehicle from the estate sale. Why? Because the estate has to get rid of it. It's generally a much better price, and oftentimes it has low mileage. And on that one, I'm going to drink a cup of coffee, or at least take a sip.
I think that is a great idea. I never thought of purchasing car from an estate. And let me tell you, my mom here, she loves to go to estate sales. So you know what? That will be one item I will be looking for when I go to the estate sale now.
Absolutely. In fact, quite frankly, I'm going to take a departure from that. No, I'm going to stay right on track with you, Pamela, and say this. This is also a great month to invest. And how do you invest? By going to estate sales and purchasing quality items that you couldn't begin to get today for a great price. In fact, I have a ring that is so heavyweight that when it was purchased, and it was purchased at an estate sale, when it was in fact purchased, it was probably about roughly $400. Today, that same ring with the weight of the gold is worth over $2,000. Is that an investment or what?
That is an awesome investment.
And estate sales. Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Pamela.
I can see everybody now trying to get their paper and pen on where we can find some estate sales and when they are, and start doing some strategic planning on where to and what to look for now.
In fact, you brought up a powerful word, Pamela. You said strategic. Speak to strategic. What should mean to our viewers?
Let me tell you, strategic is a very powerful word. Actually, I use that very much in my business. You have to come up with a plan, and the plan has to have a purpose. And the purpose of the plan is so you get to your end result. So instead of because I work with people that come in, they have no idea and they're just jumping into it. No, you have to come up with a plan and how you're going to get to the plan, which is your strategic plan, and how long you're going to do it. Because the how long you're measuring is going to determine, okay, do I need to reevaluate my strategic plan, or do I need to go seek some help on what to do with my strategic plan? So
true that. Absolutely true that. And in that thought process for our wealth warriors, because we are warriors for our family, our goal is to leave that legacy. You just saved yourself on that $1,000 deal. You just saved yourself, let's say $600, okay? Because you're now paying 40%. That $600 needs to go in some level of investment. Either it goes into an investment or it goes into another transaction. What I'm asking
Absolutely.
you to bring, what was that again?
Absolutely.
Yes, what I'm asking you to do is work parallel tracks. Pay down, and that doesn't mean pay, pay it down, clear up as much as you can. And if there's opportunity to invest in, right now, I'm at a retreat, and at this retreat, what's interesting is there's advertising going on where there are what we call attic hunters. They want to go into your attic and they want to hunt
Mm,
through your attic, and they're looking for portraits, paintings of unknown artists. The reality is, most of us don't realize that unknown artist is known, just not known in the world that we might be flowing in. What do
mhm.
you think about that, Pamela?
Absolutely. Funny enough, I work with a lot of the local artists here because you don't know what is going to happen to their artwork later on down the line. If they have the potential, I have a lot of artwork in my office that's done by lot with a local artist. So absolutely.
And they're called attic hunters, attic warriors. What they're doing is they're going into your attic and they are combing through. They know what they're looking for. And a lot of times are not aware of the value of what we actually have. And so
Mhm.
I am submitting to you that it is so important that you start to see all the value of the many things that you have in the way to do them. In December, not January, December is a great time to make that happen. And I'll tell you what, some people want to wait until January. No, ladies and gentlemen, January, it's over. It's too late. You really need to do these things now. Now, should you take money out of your 401k or something of that nature to make it happen? Absolutely not. Now, if you have an opportunity to borrow from it, and
Mhm.
this, I want you to hear this, there's some level of sophistication here. And by no means am I inferring that anybody that's watching is less than sophisticated. Okay. So, just bear with me with that one. What I am saying to you is when you start doing creative things, and that falls in under the purview of creative, it is imperative that you stay on target, on date, and on time. I will tell you right now, today, I go through my notebook, my daily calendar, and I know when my bills are due, when my loans are due, when my creative activity is due, because it has to be paid on time. And so you might say, well, is it possible that I can take a loan against this, and this, and pay these things this way, and then have a small payment that I'm
Absolutely.
making to my insurance policy, that I'm making to my 401k or my IRA or anything of that nature. If that is a possibility, then it is something that's worth talking about, because ultimately it gets you to the destination where you have swept that credit clear and clean. That is a plan that has a purpose. And so that's a discussion that we have one-on-one. That's an offline type of discussion, because you want to walk into this understanding that the outcome has to be X. So we're going through phases. The zero phase is getting your credit report. That's the zero phase. The zero phase, let me say that one more time, is getting your credit report. It is combing through that credit report. It is listing out everything that is not correct. The next phase is the negotiation phase. And that is the phase in which you're negotiating with that creditor, you're negotiating with that collection agent. That's that phase. That's phase one. Phase two, and let me go back one more to phase one. You're doing it yourself, DIY,
Mhm.
or you're having somebody else handle that, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. And in any case, this is getting squared away so that in phase two, you now are on the rebuild side. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I am not suggesting we go out and get a bunch of secured credit cards. I used to suggest that. I'm not suggesting that now, because there are other ways. Technology has grown up. I have personally experienced it. I am euphoric. It is the first time in many a year that I personally feel freedom, access to more. And that's what phase 2 is about, access to more. Phase 3 and phase 4 are going to change your lifestyle beyond your wildest imagination. I promise you that. We will be discussing that in 2017. 2017 is our year of economic justice, economic power. It's our year. And I'll tell you truly, given the climate, it is not a choice. It's a necessity. I don't want to start a preach. I'm just merely saying it is an absolute necessity. Let's take it down a notch. Pamela, what do you think? What do you think?
I have a question because I know I have here. Actually, I have someone here that just had jumped on my Facebook page and had wanted me to ask you a question. The question is, you had talked about looking at their credit report. There are some ways they can get a free credit report. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what are some of those?
Oh, sorry. Go right ahead.
No, you're going to answer it. You're already there because everyone want to know, how can they get that free credit report?
Once a year, you can, each of the bureaus is obligated to give you a copy of your credit report. You can go online or you can handwrite a letter to them requesting a copy of your credit report. If you handwrite the letter, then you want to send it certified so that you know that somebody signed off on that, on your letter, your request to receive a copy of your credit report. There are a number of free services that you can utilize. However, I would suggest you get a copy directly from the bureaus themselves. So TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are the 3 credit bureaus. You know, here's an interesting known fact, or maybe I should say a did you know, but I've already just told you. The credit bureaus are not a federal agency. The credit bureaus are privately held companies that go back to the 1920s. And they have imposed themselves into our lives in such a manner that they run us, in a matter of speaking. Mm-hmm. And as I remember the history of credit bureaus, I'm just staggered at how they affect our lives. They affect our ability to get a job. They affect our ability to get to obtain an insurance policy contingent upon the value of the policy we're looking for. It is absolutely amazing how we are impacted by the credit bureau system. So in direct answer to your caller, if you will, I love this, your caller via the fingers. In direct answer to your caller, you want to go ahead and get the free ones just so that you have an observation, because they are the ones that are online, that there are companies, and we'll put those in the feed, companies that you can get a free credit report from. Those are companies. They go and access the bureaus. They are not the credit bureaus themselves. I'm going to encourage you to write to each of the credit bureaus. You can get the addresses online. Write to each of the credit bureaus. Here's where the hand and paper make the difference. I'd like a copy of my credit report. My name is so-and-so. My current address is such and such. My social security is such and such. And put a copy of your driver's license in along with that as identification, or whatever. If it's a driver's license, if it's an ID, whatever form of identification, do not put your passport. Do not make a copy of your passport and put that in as identification. No, don't do that. Simple identification, picture ID, and send that to the bureau. Send it out certified so that somebody has signed off on it, and that it to a certain degree, it protects your identity and protects your document. And get the official ones. That means that the creditor is directly sending information to the bureau, which is being reported. And then the ball rolls. That's your 0 phase. Then we have a negotiation phase. Then we have a rebuild phase. And then we have euphoria. And that is something, that's an offline. But euphoria is an extraordinary place to be at. And we're going to help make that happen because we will be starting year 3 of our plan. And so that means we've only got 24 months to get us from here to those 100,000. This year coming up, 2017, is going to be a catapult year, and we have got to rock it to make it happen. So my question for you is this: did you get some nuggets from today? Did you get some pure and unadulterated nuggets? Because you should have gotten something from that. That was the most powerful thing I could give you, is that ability to negotiate. That ability to negotiate with your collection agencies, the ability to negotiate with your creditors, the ability to purchase a vehicle. We talked about your going to estate sales. When you're going to estate sales, that's about investing. So we gave you some collections. Now we talked about investing, and investing those dollars, investing into tangible items that, by the way, are a part of your portfolio. Because remember, credit is a part of your portfolio. Cash is a given, but maybe you ought to say cash. Cash is a part of your portfolio. But remember this: you will never have as much cash as you will have credit. So that's why I put credit as number 1. Credit, CNC. Credit cash is your credibility. From there, it is your investments in your portfolio. Contrary to popular belief, unless the vehicle is a classic that has a value for which you can document, it is not an investment item.
Right.
Notice the face. It is not an investment item.
Because it depreciates. Is that correct, though? Is that why you say that? Because it depreciates as soon as you drive it off the lot.
Absolutely. In fact, Pamela, not only does it depreciate, once it's driven off the lot, it has to be 20 years old before it becomes of value, before it becomes, you can then apply to the Antiquities Bureau in order to actually submit it to be classified. And once you submit it to be classified as a classic, because it goes from classic to antiquities, once you do that, you're limited in the amount of time that you can drive that, the amount of mileage that you can put on a classic or that you can put on an antiquity. My brother has a 1980 Corvette that Corvette is as clean as the Board of Health. My brother can tell if you even touched the vehicle. He checks the fingerprints on his vehicle, okay? So I say that only to say that sometimes I'm like, my brother, what? So again, driving home that point that there are all kinds of ways of handling business, but these are the things that we want to make sure that we're doing. You know, Pamela, when it comes to the when it comes to the estate sales, will you share some of your experiences with folks around how they would actually go about the business of going to an estate sale? Would you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, one way you can find out, let me first say, one way you can find out information about estate sales in your area is by newspaper. The newspaper will list you out any future or any present or future estates that are coming up. As well as, we use the internet, we use Facebook so much. There's over so many millions of users on Facebook. Facebook is another outlet that you can use to find out the estate sales. And then as well as call around to some of your real estate agents and ask them, do they know of any estate sales that are going on? Because truthfully, they would know. Some of their clients want them to help connect people like you and I on finding out where some local estate sales are. And then when you go to estate sales, if this is your first time, it becomes overwhelming. So step back, breathe, and go in with a plan. That's why I say at the beginning, strategic planning is essential. You go in with the plan and be ready. And those are the ways you can go find out about estate sales.
Awesome. Again, creating value, adding value to your portfolio. So we've covered what I would classify as a lot of good and solid information today. Pamela, what did you get out of everything that we've talked about today?
Of course, strategic. First of all, a strategic plan, because you have to look at what you're working with first, which is your credit report, to know what you at the end what I got to work with. So always, I here want to preach and to bring it home to everyone. Look at your credit report. I look at mine every 3 months. Now, for a while there, I was looking at it every month, and they were like, "Okay, you're being a little obsessed," and that's just me. But I do recommend you look at it not once a year. Please look at it more than once a year, because when you go buy your car or you go buy your home, you don't want to be you don't want to be surprised by what's coming on your report.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You know, one of the things, and I want to add to what Pamela said, when we're looking at that credit report, there is a difference between what's called a soft, S-O-F-T, soft credit report versus a hard pull. Okay, language, understand the language, a soft versus a hard pull. What is a soft credit report? That is a credit report in which an inquiry is not going to show up on your credit report. An inquiry listing, because see, creditors make judgment calls about you based on inquiries that they see on that report. You know, Chase hasn't given Brent credit. Yeah, I don't think I want to do that either. How do they know this? Because on the credit report, there's a counterbalance. Inquiry, trade line. A trade line is the line on the credit report in which the credit bureau, in which the creditor is now listed on your credit report. So what has happened is, here is Chase. Up here is Chase opening up. So that's a balance. So that's a wash. Check, that worked. So here's the second one. Here's the digital credit union. Account opened. Check, that worked. Here is Bach Toyota. No Bach Toyota. No Bach Toyota Motor Credit. I wonder, what does Bach know that digital and Chase don't know? I don't think I'm going to take a chance. Decline. So we want to see those inquiries, and it's important when you're looking at those, it's important when you're reading your report to see, did you in fact apply for that credit? If you didn't, we're going to come back and deal with that next month, January. We're going to deal with that. We're going to see if we can get one of our alumni on that is superb when it comes to credit. So I'm going to be, if she's watching, I'm coming for you. I'm coming to get you because you're going to be on the show. So you want to have those counterbalances. And a hard pull is when a creditor has pulled your credit report and is looking at your credit report in order to make a decision. So soft is generally you pulling it, and it will be one of those credit services. A hard pull is when a creditor has gone in and pulled it. Here is, in fact, this is pivotal when you are going to purchase a vehicle, because oftentimes when you are going to purchase a vehicle, when you've signed that authorization, they are pulling your credit report, and you have given them the authority to pull it ad infinitum. The same thing happens when you're going for a mortgage. Now, I will tell you, I had a friend of mine, she and her husband were going to buy, they wanted to buy 2 cars. Do you imagine that the salesperson was excited? Oh, you bet he was. She had a little bit of cash, enough for down payments for both. Crappy credit. 15 inquiries on her credit report.
Oh my goodness.
15. I watched her credit score just take a nosedive. I'll tell you what, now, ironically enough, they did get somebody that finally lent them the money to close the transaction. And right after that, it took a year before she could do anything else.
I'm sure.
Because inquiries typically stay on your report 3 months. And she said, I can't believe what I allowed to happen. She said, I didn't say that they could pull it 15 times. You didn't say that they couldn't. And your credit is a part of your portfolio. It's the biggest part of your portfolio next to cash. Cash is the living credit, if you will. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, I'm actually tired right now.
Me too.
I hope that you really understood why December is the best month ever. And it ain't about Christmas. It's about what you can do for your portfolio. How your portfolio is now going to impact your legacy. So what we're going to do for the remainder of December is we're going to plan out our entire year. If you've never done it before, we're going to do it now. We're going to plan out. That means when we get together next week, you must have your appointment book. We're going month by month by month by month. We're going to plan out January, February, March, April. We're going to plan out the entire year. November and December are reserved for negotiation. December is better than November. But the two specific holidays are benchmarks, and we want to get it right. Because if all of us are buying property next year, that is a staple of our portfolio. Mm-hmm. Cash, credit, real estate. Everybody say it all together. Pamela, let's go. Cash, credit, real estate.
Real estate.
We'll try it one more time. Cash,
credit,
real estate.
Real estate.
Everybody get that? Because that's where we are going. By the end of the year, come December, everybody has got to have a piece of investment property. Not a single family home. If you got one already, congratulations to you. If you don't, you're not getting one. If you have a piece of property, you're getting another one. By the way, if in fact you are in the midst of a real estate transaction right now, you want to get that closed by December 30th. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're shaking your head, Pamela. Give it to us. Let us hear it. What you got to say?
Absolutely. And you know what? The bad thing is I'm not that very savvy in real estate, but I can tell you this, that's the best time to close. That is the best time, because you know why? You can still claim it on your income tax.
Thank you. That's exactly the point. It still gets claimed on your income tax, and depending on how creative your income tax professional is,
yes.
we'll dictate how that's going to work out. Absolutely. And here's something that I want you to get, and this is also going to help you to get clear with what kind of professional you want to do your taxes. The more creative you are, the more, I'm not going to use the word savvy because that's not the right word, but I'm not able to come up with one. I'm going to stick with creative. The more creative you are about your legacy and your finances, the more you are going to need to deal with a professional, a professional core team. For example, you've got Pamela and I. Pamela is your organizer supreme. She is the person that helps put these things, that gets you in the place to receive. I am your coach and your consultant on what we need to do to make that happen. Okay. There are other professionals that you are going to need to surround yourself with in order to move this process along. Okay, so Brent, where are you going with this? I am saying that the typical services that we see out that most people go to are likely not going to be the service that you are going to need. Here's my case in point. People get excited. Oh, it only cost me $150. It only cost me $200 to get my taxes done. Excuse me. I'm going to submit to you. Mine are running $600 to $1,500 a year per tax return. What? Because the more creative you are, the more you need someone that understands that creativity and is able to, that knows the tax law and is able to work the tax law in your favor. Talk about it, Pamela. Talk about it.
Absolutely. I have to say, since I still work in the corporate world, and now I have my own business and other avenues that are coming into I have my tax bill, my tax advisor bill is more than, $100. So having that, don't let it scare you. I think that is what I want to tell you. Don't let it scare you. It's to help you to get you where you need to get to.
Absolutely. Here's a good example. If you are going for a mortgage, your income needs to meet the mortgage, needs to meet the qualifications for that mortgage. So your AGI, and I'm not telling you what that is, you're going to look it up. Your AGI cannot afford to be low.
Right.
Because it's got to meet the level of the mortgage. If the mortgage is $1,000 a month, you've got to be able to demonstrate that you can support that. Your tax returns are typically used for that mortgage. So if you are a person that takes in cash, then you've really got to do some serious planning. You're either going to get a stated income loan, your credit scores are going to be at least 700 in order for you to state the income. Otherwise, you are going to be subject to your federal tax return. And if you are in a cash-based consultant, anything that's cash-based, and your AGI is low, it's not going to qualify you for that loan. That's going to come in another session. So those are my points of it now requires purpose and planning, and it requires you to surround yourself with a team. And you want to be, I am proud that that's what the tax costs, because when you are getting back money, or when you reduce your liability, it is worth the dollars and cents you pay. See, we're going to a place of wealth here, wealth here. We're going to a state of wealth. We're not saying be foolish about the money that you spend.
Mm-hmm.
We are saying that it is pivotal that you spend the money wisely, but you understand that we're in a space of we're not in a space of lack. We're in a space of broad. We're not in a space of lack. Leave the lack mentality behind. That's all the preach I'm going to give you for today. Hey, Pamela, we're wrapping up the show in about 6 minutes. Do you have any announcements before I hit the announcement list?
I do not.
What? You do not have any announcements? I'm in shock.
I know. I've been so busy, and this is my first weekend not having to do anything. I was like, oh, I don't have any announcements. But trust me, I will have some next week.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that. Announcement number 1, mark your calendars for April 29th, 2017. Mark your calendar for April 29th, 2017. E3 Power Up 2017 is happening in Massachusetts, and you want to be with us. You want to be with Pamela and I and all the cast. It is going to be amazing. We had our first one. That one was our pre-launch. We are launching E3 Power Up 2017, and I'm going to tell you something. It is going to rock. We have the cast coming back. We have a theme, which I'm not going to announce yet, but we have a theme that is going to be outstanding. This is a women's conference. We are not negating the fellas, but I will tell you, I met a gentleman recently, and I really appreciated what he said. And that was, Brent, I'm going to support what you're saying, because women need an old girls club. They need a club like the old boys network. You need a woman's network. And so if this is where you're going, I'm applauding you 199%. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. April 29th, 2017, we are hosting, Massachusetts is hosting E3 Power Up 2017. What is E3 Power Up? Educate for business clarity. What we're taught, get very specific about business clarity. So that is a powerful thing to say. We are going to empower ourselves with success stories, and we are going to validate entrepreneurship as the best vehicle for dictating our destinies. E3 Power Up 2017. Now, want to share some other things relative to that. Want to let you know that we are looking for brand ambassadors, and we have already one in place. We're going to be sharing all the exciting things that brand ambassadors are going to be doing for that event. First and foremost, brand ambassadors will be wearing the red dress, because that is a part of this movement. E3 Power Up is a part of the red dress movement, hashtag red dress movement. So they will be donning with the red dress. They will be donning at the appropriate time with the red t-shirt that bespeaks them as ambassadors. So we are going to be looking for ambassadors for the red dress movement. So if it's something that you're interested in being an ambassador, you're interested in being in Massachusetts for that event, then please go ahead and instant message me and let me know that that in fact is the case. All you have to do is instant message and say red dress, and then I know what we're talking about. Either myself or Pamela will get back to you regarding this. However, it is actually happening, and we are extremely excited about that. Next, we're bringing back the 12 steps. Thanks to Pamela, who is going to stay on top of things. Each month, we're going back to the 12 steps. We kind of got off script with that. So she is the caretaker for making sure we stay on script. So each month, we're going to talk about that one subject. And you know, we're starting month 1 with credit. It is all about the credit. And each month, we're adding to that. At the end of the year, everybody has to have investments, and they have to have their home. Next, I want to share with you as we close out, I am bringing back credit services. Credit services are going to be wealth credit. Credit services are going to be a part of the consulting that I am doing on behalf of all our warriors. It is going to be a service in which you will be able to, instead of DIYing it, if you want us to take care of that, if you want us to clear to clear that credit for you. For those that have known me from the past in my mortgage days, you are aware that I do know how to do that. There are going to be certain qualifiers. While I'm taking care of that, that does not mean that you are not involved in the process. You can't just dump it in my hands and say, Brent, go ahead and do it. No. You've got to be an active participant in your wealth. If in fact you are interested in credit services, then all you have to do is send me a text message, 617-438-7949. Again, 617-438-7949. Give me your name and just say credit services. I noticed I said instant message for one thing, telephone for the other. And the reason for that is so that I can move on that one quickly. That gets actually, from me, it goes over to the person that I'm working with on the credit services. Why did I resurrect this? I resurrected it because I found that people that were involved in other services, even when it was even when it was an attorney, when they were involved in the other services, I saw that services were taking far too long. And that was upsetting to me. Second, I felt as if people were begging and pleading to get information. And last but not least, the credit got squared away, and then they weren't being given guidance so that they could rebuild and rebuild strong and get to that 700 plus credit score. And so after a lot of thinking and trying to figure out how it would fit in, we're putting it back into the scheme of things. So that is a private service. It's individualized, and it does work. And I got to tell you, I'm living it today, and I am so grateful that it's happening. And I want to make it happen for you. With that being said, we are now at the time to close out the show. Pamela, do you have any final words before we close out?
I just want everyone to know, let today be your beginning for tomorrow, and get out there. Get out there and do what you have to do.
Well said. Well said. And to everyone, I say to you, go out today and be unequivocally extraordinary. We will see you the next time. Take care now.